we are back as promised for part 2 of this 1987 YM magazine exploration. In this video, I'm going to be reading all of the problematic articles and kind of like editorials and little sections where the viewers can write in and ask for advice. There were quite a lot of them that I skipped in part 1, but I thought that they deserved a dedicated video because they are really something, you guys. So if you haven't seen part 1, you can go on over and check that out. I'll put the link right here somewhere. But if you are ready for this part 2 reading, then let's begin. Got more of a lo-fi vibe for this part. We're laying in bed right now. We're laying in bed. See? Which I think is actually really fitting because I feel like this is definitely a very popular way to read these type of magazines as a teenage girl, just like laying on your bed with your feet up, maybe with one of your girlfriends, and just giggling about everything you see. So let's see. Alright, so this one was pretty funny. Ask the guys the inside scoop on what boys really think. How do you feel about a girl who makes the first move? First, we're going to hear from Jim Beck, who's 17 years old, from Bessemer, Michigan. And he thinks, I have a tough time asking a girl out because I get really nervous. So I like it when a girl makes the first move. Just recently, I met a girl whom I really liked at a basketball game. I was thrilled when she handed me a note after the game. That's so freaking cute. A note after the game that said, call me, and she included her phone number. That is so stinking adorable. Love that for Jim. Okay. Next, we'll hear from Craig Fagan from Miami, Florida. And he says, when it comes to a girl asking a guy out, I think it's a good idea. After all, he can always say no. Otherwise, a guy could be missing all the right signals. A couple of months ago, a girl I'd known at school asked me out. Though we had been friendly for a while, it took me by surprise because I was never really sure how she felt about me. When she suggested that we go out on a date, I was really happy. I probably would have asked her out eventually. I just wasn't sure about her feelings. Also very adorable. Love that. What does Chad have to say? Chad is 16 from Burnsville, Minnesota. When a girl makes the first move, it takes the pressure off us guys. Recently, I was watching TV at my girlfriend's house. No one was home, so the situation was perfect. I kept wishing she would reach over and give me a kiss, and I kept moving closer to her, waiting for some signal. When I drop a gentle hint like that, I don't mind if the girl makes the first move. Chad. Okay. These are really wholesome. I like them. Okay, Ryan Gronoweg. Okay, 15 years old from Sioux City, Iowa. At the beginning of a relationship, I like it. I figure if the girl makes the first move, it's probably because I'm slow or I'm talking too much. For example, at a ball game recently, I was glad when my date asked me to go for a walk. Whoa. And was surprised and happy when she reached out and kissed me. What I learned after dating her for a while is that Eventually, I like to make the first move too. I don't like a girl who takes too much command. Okay. He's 15. He sounds like he has had a lot of experience. All right. And our Lindsay, 14 years old. Wow, they keep getting younger. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I like a girl who's outgoing and expresses interest in a guy, as long as it's not done in an aggressive manner. It helps build confidence, and it's good for self-esteem. A guy can always use that. On the other hand, I don't like to be pressured into doing something I don't want. And lastly, we've got the one I read in part 1, which is from Jim Kasparek from Aurora, Colorado. He says, "Sometimes I like it and sometimes I don't. My friend Kelly once took me by surprise and kissed me, really kissed me, one day after we went out for pizza. It confused me because I wasn't sure what I wanted from the relationship. Different thoughts ran through my mind, like, why is she doing this? Should we just be friends? Should we be more? I decided I just wanted a friendship, so I felt a little awkward. I would have felt differently if I wanted to date her." Well, these were really fun. And funny. Alright, let's move on to our next. Oh, yes. Yes. This one. Basically, when I was reading this in part 1, I was already getting the feeling that I should, record a part 2, because some of these are out of control. Alright, so this section is called Dear Julia, Answers to Your Most Intimate Questions. So teenage girls can write in to Julia with their most intimate questions, and she gives them advice. Let's see what kind of advice she gives. "I've had a crush on my 9th grade English teacher all year, and it keeps growing stronger. Every time I'm in his class, I daydream about him, and now these fantasies are getting out of hand. The problem is, I know I love him. Should I tell him or keep it a secret?" Here's the answer that Julia gives. "The emotions you are feeling are compelling and maybe a bit scary too. But you need to accept that, for a number of reasons, it would be almost impossible for your daydreams to come true in real life." Almost. First, romantic relationships between 9th graders and their teachers are usually frowned upon. Your teacher would be called to task by school authorities if he became involved with you. Second, even if this man were not your teacher, the age gap between the two of you would make a romance particularly difficult. At your age, it would be very hard to have any kind of equality in a relationship with a man 10 or 15 years your senior. And most likely you discover that your interests and experiences, your opinions and priorities are quite different. Oopsie daisy. This raises a third crucial point. While you are sure that what you feel for your teacher is love, you know him in a very limited setting and can only imagine what he's like outside the classroom. True love involves knowing another person very well. What you're describing, strong feelings based on the way you imagine someone to be, is not a full-fledged crush. Is a full-fledged crush, but it's not the same as real love. Mary Lee Tatum, who has taught sex education in Falls Church, Virginia, for 15 years, has seen many student-teacher crushes and believes that feelings other than love may be what's really fueling your attraction. She explains that a girl might dream about a teacher, hoping he'll make up for something missing from her life. If the men in your life aren't sensitive or loving, you may idealize your teacher and want him to fill the role you wish they filled, says Miss Tatum. But you have to realize he probably can't. That said, it's best for both you and your teacher if you don't spill the beans to him about your feelings. Sometimes a teacher senses that a girl has a crush on him, but I'd rather not be told, says Brian Harding, a 9th grade teacher in Old Tappan, New Jersey. It would be very awkward for me and would end up being even more embarrassing for the girl. Because once said, it's hard for either of you to forget. Instead of telling your teacher how you feel about him, this might be a good time to identify what specific qualities you find so appealing in him. His warmth, intelligence, or sense of humor, for instance, and then seek out boys your own age who have some of those same fine qualities. Alright, well, this is a very lengthy response, and it's, for me, just how they prioritized. First of all, romantic relationship between a 9th grader and their teachers are usually frowned upon. Like, that's the first thing that they said. I think that's kind of disturbing. That's the first thing that they said. But let's move on to a more serious one. Okay. I have a huge problem. My best friend is pregnant, but she made me promise not to tell anyone. She's only 14, and I know she needs help handling the difficult situation. But I feel as if my hands are tied. Help. Okay. Linda answers. You haven't said whether or not your friend has told her parents. If she hasn't, you should strongly urge her to do so. She has some heavy-duty decisions to make and needs the advice and support of her family, both in making the decisions and in seeing that they work out. They may be angry at first, but most families turn out to be extremely supportive. A guidance counselor could help your friend approach her parents if she's scared to do it alone. If your friend has told her parents, but has sworn you to secrecy at school, then you have to respect her wishes. This places a burden on you, but remember that although you may feel worried and under pressure, your friend is going through something a lot more difficult. If you need to talk to someone to sort out your own feelings and fears, you can call the Crisis Intervention Hotline or a local chapter of Planned Parenthood, Inc. and ask what free confidential services are available to you. Check your yellow pages. Or you might ask your friend whether she'd be mind if you discuss this with an older, trusted relative. Your friend is likely to be frightened and vulnerable in the coming months, and your relationship is going to be tested. Once she's gotten the adult support she needs, help her by continuing to be a caring and loyal friend. This advice is like aeons better than the advice in here. Like, is it written by the same person? Are these all the same Julia? Is Julia multiple people? Okay, and this one I almost accidentally skipped. But this one is really good. I read this in part 1. This one I had a problem with too. So, the reader asks, I have noticed that a lot of the bad boys at school are attracted to me. This is a problem because people are beginning to get the idea that I must be easy. I've always had a good reputation and it is being ruined by these guys. What should I do? Linda responds, it sounds like you're an attractive girl, which is nice. But unfortunately, you're attracting the wrong boys. You need to ask yourself if you're doing something to encourage the so-called bad boys. Do you flirt with them? Do you walk in a very provocative way? I'm going to read that again. Do you walk in a very provocative way? Do you dress in tight-fitting or revealing clothes that might make them think you are overly interested in them? There's no reason to be unfriendly or wear prim clothes. But if the bad boy's attentions bothers you, be careful about the signals you're sending. It would also make sense for you to become involved in some reputable school activities, especially those that put you in closer contact with the kinds of people you'd like to attract. Before long, your classmates will get the message. Wow. Okay. I think we have a couple sections. Left to go through. Let me just find them. Alright, now we've got Dear Beauty Editor. Skin Deep Beauty Solutions. So, the reader asks, I have a terrible case of whiteheads and blackheads and don't know how to get rid of them. Any suggestions? They answer, a good skincare regime should help clear your complexion, according to Howard Sobel, MD, attending dermatologist at Cabrini Medical Center, New York. Dr. Sobel suggests that you cleanse your face twice a day with a mild soap cleanser or a wash containing benzoyl peroxide. At night, apply a 5% benzoyl peroxide cream to those areas that are prone to whiteheads and blackheads. Benzoyl peroxide penetrates pores to dry up whiteheads, blackheads, and new pimples and prevent new blemishes from forming. If your problem continues or you experience serious breakouts, see a dermatologist. He or she may recommend that you alternate benzoyl peroxide treatments with the use of Retin-A cream and prescription medication, which loosens blackheads and whiteheads. A doctor can also perform acne surgery, in which pimples or cysts are lanced to prevent infection. Okay, not terrible, not terrible. Let's see. I'm sure it's about to get worse. The reader asks, I'm black and have a terrible time selecting makeup colors that will be right for my skin tone. My complexion is medium brown. Some foundations make me look sallow, while others give my skin a grayish cast. What colors will look best on me? They answer, since your complexion is medium brown, You probably have either a yellow or red undertone to your skin. According to Barbara Sansone, makeup artist for Bumble and Bumble NYC. Sanson suggests that you examine skin in bright daylight to determine the undertone. If your skin is on the yellow side, choose foundation in honey or toasted shades, golden brown, to add warmth. Select blushes in cinnamon, burgundy, or deep rose. Avoid pastels, which can look fake. Eyeshadows should be in cinnamon, rust, or burgundy families. Eyeliners in navy blue, black, or deep jungle green. If your skin has a reddish undertone, select foundation in a warm chocolate shade. Use blushes and eyeshadows in burgundy or blue-violet families. If you wear eyeliner, use a navy blue shade. Okay, well, the problem is that in 1987, the foundation colors that she's telling her to look for didn't exist. Like, that's why she's asking that question. They didn't have different shades of deeper tones of foundation at all. And I noticed throughout this whole answer, she's just telling her to use purples and browns, which is not the case. Like, you can wear any color, but I think her problem was that she couldn't find a match, which, you know, you can't just pull that out of nowhere. Like, it has to be available in the first place, and it didn't used to be. Like, the shade ranges were like, there would be like 2 dark colors and that would be it. So yeah, I doubt this answer helped her very much. Alright, let's see. Alright, the reader asks, I recently had a date with a guy I really like, and he noticed that I bite my nails. It was very embarrassing. How can I break this awful habit? Alright. Bruce Brown, MD, Associate Professor of Psychology at Queens College in Flushing, New York, suggested this 3-step behavior modification plan. Number 1, pay attention to when you bite. Carry a small notebook with you at all times, and whenever you begin to bite your nails, note the time, place, and circumstances. This will help you pinpoint the times and situations that seem to trigger your nail biting. Try to cut back gradually on biting. For instance, bite your nails 25% less for a few days, then 50%, then 75%, until you've quit altogether. You'll have an idea of percentages based on your notebook. Number 2, as soon as you're tempted to bite, think of some other activity that occupies your hands. For instance, if you're doing homework, stop for 15 minutes. Play the piano, knit, or simply tie and untie string. Then resume doing your homework. Number 3, reward yourself for progress. As you gradually experience success, you've stopped biting your nails by 50%, treat yourself to a professional manicure. Try one every week. Manicures are relaxing, and when you've had your cuticles cleaned up and polish applied to your nails, your hands will look so good you'll be less inclined to bite. A good, inexpensive place to get a manicure is at a local beauty school, where they are usually around $5. I guess this kind of makes sense, but the whole notebook part, I don't know. I don't know if that would really stick for anybody. I think she should just get the manicure first and then see if that stops her from biting. But I'm not a psychologist. Okay, so that was the beauty editor. I think we have one more section left. Little grapes. Actually, not little, some of them were really big. About some of the advertisements in this magazine. Okay. Yeah, this stuff was crazy, or the one that I read in part 1 was crazy. Okay, so this article was about first kisses. And the best way that I could put it is this article just completely overcomplicated the whole subject of first kisses. And there's some crazy stuff. So let's see. Let's start here. First date dilemma. They're making a dilemma out of it. When the subject at hand is the thrilling uncertainty over whether to kiss on the first date, the best advice, we think, comes from the least likely source, a spoof on old-fashioned etiquette books called Miss Manners' Guide to Excruciatingly Correct Behavior by Judith Martin. Miss Manners sounds excruciatingly proper, outdated, and even a little bossy. But she never makes fuzzy and impractical suggestions like be yourself, or just do what comes naturally. The way some of our supposedly more progressive counterparts do. That's what I would say as well, but so Miss Manners knows that being yourself in an entirely new situation where you have no idea who yourself is out of the question. What is needed is a clear-cut, step-by-step strategy. Miss Manners' advice for kissing on the first date is witty and wise and seems to work whether you're 16 or 60. I want to see this book now. It sounds ludicrous. It is customary to begin a series of dates with a great deal of entertainment, says Miss Manners, a moderate amount of food, and the merest suggestion of affection. A successful date, according to this scheme, might include a movie or a concert, followed by a light snack, after which the dating couple locks eyes significantly and then parts. As the amount of affection increases, the entertainment can be reduced proportionately. Even when the affection is the entertainment, a situation that Miss Manners no longer considers dating, she insists that under no circumstances can the food be omitted. As you might imagine, Miss Manners regards the premature kiss as potentially dull and disastrous, and urges you to treat a young man as a pleasant enhancement to your life, not the answer to your prayers. Translation. Try try to hold out until the second date. Wow. Wow. Let's see. I'm going to read this that I read in part 1, and it was really weird. Alright, so this is called Practice Makes Perfect. The terrible truth is that the novice can't learn how to kiss just by hearing about it from friends. Worse, there's no right way to do it. Experience is the best teacher, but practice helps. Some of the most popular forms of practice include painting on a thick, unblotted coat of lipstick and smooching a mirror, kissing the back of your hand, or clutching a pillow. Good for mastering the overall embrace. In parentheses. Howie Mendel, the eccentric emergency room surgeon on St. Elsewhere, reportedly owes his romantic prowess to early practice sessions kissing his dog. Another traditional arena for mastering the kiss is through organized games, and these actually have been the object of serious sociological study. According to psychologist Robert Coles and journalist Jeffrey Stokes, author of Sex and the American Teenager, by far the most popular kissing game for preteens these days is 7 Minutes in Heaven. Players choose a partner of the opposite sex and adjourn to a private spot, usually a closet, for 7 minutes. Predictably, says Dr. Coles and Mr. Stokes, the game is wonderful if you're attracted to your partner, endurable if you're friends. Couples have been known to agree to do nothing, and a full bore gross out if you actively do not like the one with whom you are to experience heaven. They're really breaking it down to a science, huh? Let's see. That's not that interesting. What's this? What if you're not ready? What if you're not ready for the kiss? You like them, but you're not ready. Da 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 da. A valuable social skill is the subtle art of reducing the conventional distance between the bodies. Alright, everyone, last but certainly not least, we've got more readers writing in with problems. What's the problem? What's the problem? Eric and Judy. Dear Eric and Judy. Dear Eric and Judy. Even though I have a boyfriend, I've tried to make sure I don't ignore my best friend Amanda. However, Amanda does feel left out and asked me to fix her up with someone. I've asked about 5 guys if they'd like to date her, but they all said no. I think she's really pretty and not at all fat, though she seems to think she is. So I can't figure out why I can't find her a date. Am I doing something wrong? This is such a weird question. How the heck is anybody supposed to know what the problem is? Alright, so this is what Eric says. Doing a favor for a best friend is very nice, but being responsible for her social life is another matter. You're in a no-win situation. Amanda has taken the responsibility of getting dates away from herself and put it on you. Now you have to worry about something over which you have no control. You can't make guys go out with her. Even if you find her a date, she may blame you if it fizzles. Amanda should give you a break and learn to find her own dates. Okay. Sounds good, I guess. Judy says, I'm not against fix-ups if you think a guy is right for a friend. But it sounds as if you're indiscriminately asking guys out for Amanda. If you don't want her to feel left out, don't fix her up, but do include her in some of your activities. You can also plan special things for you and your friend to do together. You don't have to do everything with your boyfriend. You might try to help Amanda build up her self-image. She sounds a little down on herself. Once she starts liking herself, maybe a guy will like her too. Okay. I guess that's pretty good advice. Okay, here's the next one. Dear Eric and Judy, last week I got mad at my boyfriend because he was pressuring me to become more involved physically. Now he says I'm a baby and ignores me. I still love him and want him back. What should I do? Oh no. Okay, you guys better give her some good advice. Oops, where am I? I'm in the wrong spot. Eric says, you were right to let your boyfriend know how you felt about his pressuring you. If he really cares about you, he won't try to do things that hurt you, either emotionally or physically. Many guys just need to be told what the acceptable boundaries of behavior are, and then they'll stop applying pressure. If your boyfriend respects you, he'll be back. Do we want him back, though? If not, you're better off finding someone who does value your beliefs. Don't worry, there are decent guys out there. Okay. Judy says, your boyfriend is the one who's acting like a baby. Exactly. Don't compromise your values. Learn how to stand up for yourself on this very vital matter. Doing what you believe is right. Doing what you believe is right, or you may fall into a pattern of giving in to anyone who pressures you. Be strong. Okay. This one's kind of funny. This one. Dear Eric and Judy, I just found the right guy for me, but he's 1 year younger than I am. I'm 14. My friends tell me that I can do better. Does age really make a difference? She should ask the 9th grader that wants to go out with her teacher. I'm sorry. I just couldn't resist it. Okay, Eric says, only you know how you feel about somebody. At your age, the right guy means someone with whom you can have a good time, go to parties, and build a good friendship. This probably isn't the last guy you'll ever date. Follow your heart and don't take your friends' comments too seriously. Okay? Judy says, our grandmother married a young man who was 8 years younger than she. And this year they celebrated their 67th wedding anniversary. So you can see where we come from. Oops. So you can see we come from a family in which a person's age makes little difference. What's important is that you found someone you like. Once your friends see what a good time you're having with your guy, perhaps they'll start broadening their sights too. Okay, and the last one is probably the worst one. Alright. So this person writes, Dear Eric and Judy, I just found out that my friend's mother is a lesbian. She doesn't know I know, but I'm unsure of how to act around her now. Should I still like her? It's like boggling to read that, right? Don't forget, this is 1987. Eric says, Yes, your friend is still your friend. Her mother is still a person, to be treated the same as everyone else. The gay issue is a very controversial one in our society today. But whatever your feelings on the subject, be aware that your friend can't control what her mom is and does. It's certainly not fair to drop a friend just because her mother is different from other mothers you know. Judy says, a person's sexual preference is only one part of his or her total identity, and is certainly not the most important part. Other qualities, such as being kind and caring, are more important. Your friend and her family have probably gone through some tough emotional times, and she may need someone to talk to. I wouldn't bring up the matter unless she indicates she wants to discuss it. Be alert, though. Sometimes a person drops little hints in an attempt to sound out a friend's feelings. Be sympathetic and sensitive, and you may be able to help her a lot. I wonder what the answer would have been if this magazine was from like the 60s or 70s, honestly. It's like you can't really imagine somebody asking a question like that, like nowadays, but yeah. Just goes to show you how much the times have changed. Alright, everyone, I'm really glad that I went back in and read all of these. Read through all the articles and write-ins. They're really something else, huh? So, thanks again for checking out the part 2, and I'll see you guys again soon in the next.